There really isn't an explanation for how we experience what we're experiencing. If you look into the scientific understanding, as I've often mentioned and as I've touched on in the last two videos, you'll see that the scientific understanding does not explain anything. It gives us a rather clunky model which we are supposed to relate to. But even within that model, we get the basic understanding that the mind creates everything. This isn't an idea. This isn't a notion. This is actually a fact. But then we have to ask what we understand by mind. And we've got clear experience of this mind. We've got direct experience of this infinite creativity of the mind every night in our dreams. We get one dream after another. Whole scenarios are created. Whole worlds are created, complete with memories, feelings, relationships. At the time it is very real. And if anybody tells us in a dream that we're dreaming, we've got a lot of trouble taking that on board. Logically, we might even agree with this information, but we'll still carry on with the dream regardless. We'll still carry on with the dream's reality regardless. It's only when we wake up that we lump all that experience under the title dream. We say it was only a dream. We void it, don't we? We void it. We render it insubstantial. We change our whole relationship to the dream once we've woken up. That same creativity which creates an endless variety of dreams is what is creating our phenomenal experience, our subjective experience of the phenomenal universe, of the world in which we live. It's what's creating the images that you're looking at right now. Your awareness, your consciousness is creating the image of me. We can create a story about it and say how it's being transmitted through the internet to your computer and all the rest of it. And that's all very well within that particular mode of operating. But how you're actually experiencing it right now, as it arises in your awareness, is being created by your mind. It's being created by that consciousness which is capable of endless creativity, infinite creativity. In dream, the barren woman seems to have a son. We'd have no trouble with this in a dream, would we? You're having dinner with a woman who's infertile and her son's right next to her. We've got no trouble with this in the dream. In the waking state, the impossible seems to have happened. The impossible is that we're actually experiencing this, or we've actually got theories about this. We've actually got theories about how we're experiencing this. And these theories are impossible. These theories are usually to do with how we relate to consciousness. We try and brush over, we try and ignore the fact of consciousness. Just as when we're in a dream and somebody tells us it's a dream, we somehow don't want to take it on board. Well, most people don't want to take on board the fact of consciousness, particularly those that think of themselves as scientific. It's consciousness which comes up with all these theories. It's consciousness which doesn't want to look at itself. The unreal appears to be real. We replace our direct experience with theories about what we're experiencing. We replace our direct experiencing with stories about what is going on, and then we identify with these stories. Something which has not really been experienced appears to be a real experience, even as one experiences one's funeral in a dream. And this is exactly what happens. I'm assuming that you're not particularly religious, that maybe you think of yourself as scientific. Perhaps you consider yourself to be rational. What does science give us in the end? All science gives us is a model. And this model is what we identify with. We don't experience the model. All science does is construct a model. It doesn't say anything about what is experiencing that model, what that model is being presented to. So this is where we have to leave all that behind and stop trying to identify with a model. Stop trying to replace what we're experiencing right now with a model of how we experience things. So something which has not really been experienced appears to be a real experience. We identify so much with stories, with models, with theories about what is going on, but that's not the real experiencing. When one dreams of falling into a pit, his bed becomes that pit. In blinding light, one sees nothing. I suppose the distinction here is between reality and what you think of is reality. So your bed is the reality, and the falling into a pit is your understanding of that reality. In blinding light, one sees nothing. And we have the expression, don't we? We have the expression, don't we? Blindingly obvious. You wonder where that expression came from. Light can be so bright that it's blinding. Light by which we see, when it's too bright, becomes blinding. And this is the nature of the truth. It is blindingly obvious, because consciousness is a light. It's the light of awareness. It's by which we perceive. If there was no light, there'd be no perception. This light is the light of awareness. It's awareness which allows us to come up with ideas of perception. And it's a blinding light, because there's so much going on. There's so much to be aware of that we're like little children in the candy shop, running here and there, not quite sure what to focus on, forgetting ourselves completely. So in blinding light, one sees nothing. We don't see the truth because it's so blinding. It's so blindingly obvious, actually.